Welcome, Tech for All channel here. I'm still heavily breathing because it's been some bike time for me in the past few minutes. Before saying anything else, this review is a comparison between the Explorer 3 by MGCool versus the Hero 6 by GoPro. And before we go any further, I have a number of announcements to make. If you're following the channel closely or not so closely, you probably know that I put a lot of effort in the deep dive reviews of action cameras, where I explore absolutely everything interesting about them. These series are discontinued, so I'm not going to release any deep dives any longer. Instead, the content of the deep dives is now going to be mostly part of the initial reviews of each action camera I'm going to show you on this channel. And on top of that, we're getting an upgrade. So each model is going to be compared versus sort of the industry leader at the moment, which is the Hero 6 by GoPro. And I've picked 13 of the most important features that you might be looking for when picking an action camera. So at the moment, what we're starting is also something like a tribute to the Chinese company MGCool, because they started as a subsidiary from Elephone, and now they seem to have closed their business. The Explorer 3 is the best they have released so far, and it's a very interesting action camera, one of the few that can stabilize 4K footage, and certainly deserves your attention because it comes with touchscreen, some accessories and other interesting features. So, the GoPro Hero 6 versus the Explorer 3 by MGCool. Here we go! As already stated, I've chosen to check the 13 most interesting action camera characteristics and find out which of these two is the better one. We start with the hardware, and you can follow the score on the screen. The Explorer 2 is on the left and the Hero 6 on the right. You have the chance to see the more detailed reviews of both action cameras. For what it's worth, the GoPro, as usual, is the trendsetter here. The Explorer 3 is one of the first cameras to utilize the iCatch V50, a well-capable chip that can stabilize footage even at 4K. For the Hero 6 model, GoPro are partnering with a Japanese chip maker to produce the in-house GT1 that can record in 4K at 60 frames per second. The sensor quality is also superior here. Much more capable and powerful hardware, and the first point is for the Hero 6. Secondly, we compare the user experience. As stated in the dedicated review a few months back, the thing I truly hate is the navigation on the Explorer 3. Having two buttons next to each other may look cool, but can be very confusing. On top of that, the touchscreen has rather bad responsiveness, and going back to the home screen is not that easy. Even after weeks of using this camera, I still find it difficult to reach the menu I'm looking for. Quite the opposite with the Hero 6. This is the camera I got used to really quick. It has the best organized menus, and I love how natural it feels to go from standard auto settings to pro grade features, where you can choose shutter speed, ISO, color grade and so on. A well-deserved second point for the GoPro. In terms of accessories, the MGCool's model gains 1 point back. It has plenty of useful mounts, and that will help you get footage from various angles without having to buy extra things. You probably know that it is hard to gain GoPro's position of being one of the brands that includes the least accessories with its products. Next are the features. Both cameras lack car mode, and differences are many more. 2.4 and 5.8 G bands for Wi-Fi, possibility for external microphone, auto low light, manual audio control, a GPS, dedicated post-production software. I will stop here and give one more point to the GoPro camera. Who will get the point for build quality? Let's find out. The Explorer 3 is made of good plastic. The touchscreen is, well, alright. Materials are not top quality, and that is of course in line with the tempting price. Putting both side by side, the GoPro feels more premium. Besides the amazingly well-built body, it shines with extremely quality materials and waterproof rating that doesn't require a case. The convenience of this extra is amazing, and you can go underwater without preparation at all. Next, we examine the stabilization. There are tons of footage I've seen. While the MGCool does good, and in fact it is admirable to see true 4K with electronic image stabilization packed at a price around $100. We are blessed to live in times where technology of that grade is so affordable. But we have to admit, the Hero 6 stabilization is the best in class. No, to be more accurate, the Hero 6 is in its own league when it comes to EIS. Resolution and frames per second is another component we look into. 4K at 30 frames per second, Full HD at 60 and 30, and the not too useful 720p at 120. That is for the Explorer 3. I will just mention the 4K at 60 frames per second and the Full HD at 240. Enough for the GoPro's model to win one more battle. Concerning the resolutions, if setting both at 30 frames per second on 4K, we can expect battery's full cycle for a single run of recording without any further interventions to be around 67 minutes on the Explorer 3 versus the impressive 98 on the Hero 6. Getting closer to real-life usage, when filming shorter videos and reviewing some of them, the values are getting closer and both can last around an hour. To make sure the footage is safe, you need a proper microSD. I was in fact surprised to see the GoPro being not too picky about microSD cards. Still, using a U3 at least is strongly recommended. Usually the higher requirements for cards are related to the higher bandwidth of the footage, which is a very good thing. But we give the Explorer 3 an edge here because it will conveniently run just Class 10 cards. Finally, one more point for the Chinese contender. In the last months, if a device doesn't have a good app, it can easily be claimed as a bad product, even if the hardware and features tick all the boxes. Over here, both of the cameras have mobile apps, with the GoPro being the better developed solution. Not that the Explorer 3 app is that bad, it is fine, but just fine. Via the GoPro software you can do better adjustments, you have better options, and there even is possibility to upgrade the firmware, and therefore it gets one more point. Not too much left. I've always looked closely at how companies perform, and an excellent example of how much a brand cares about its customers is how often they fix problems that the customers report. GoPro's team has turned the Hero 6 from a flop into the best shooting action camera of 2018 via decent and quality firmware upgrades. On the other side, MGCool, well, you won't get any further firmware updates because they no longer exist. The company has recently closed its factories and there's no activity on Twitter, Facebook or their website. Based on previous models' experience, we had almost zero firmware updates, and in case of bugs, you have to live with them. One up for the Hero 6. Two more topics left to go, and this has been more or less the significant part of what is important to know about the MGCool Explorer 3 and the GoPro Hero 6. The Chinese contender is one of a kind. It's the last one from the MGCool era. It's been a small company. Actually, initially it was part of the bigger Elephone family, and they made something like a spin-off back in 2016. So within the 2 years of independence, MGCool have released in total 9 models, including one 360 camera, and the rest were primarily action cameras. On this channel we have reviewed a couple of them. So approaching the 2 last components, price-wise, of course the Explorer 3 is the clear winner. It costs between $80 and $160, with a regular price, if you can still buy it at all, on average it would cost between $100 and $120 US. The GoPro Hero 6 on the other side is of course a bit more steep. It costs around $399, which is a reduced price after the big fiasco it happened with the initial firmware levels and the bad fame it got through the initial reviews. So right now $399 for the GoPro Hero 6. With that last component I have decided to measure, it's called coolness. Now, improvised test. Buddy, can I get your help? Now, I want to ask you something. So could you help me? You see those 2 cameras, right? Can you point to the one that you like better? I mean, which one do you believe looks better? This one. This one. Sure. Not this one. Jesus! My idea was ruined. I really thought he's gonna point to the GoPro Hero 6. So this has been my son. He has absolutely no idea about...
I like 2 of them.
You like both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. He pointed to the Explorer 3. Still, I'm gonna give this point to the Hero 6 because it's considered to be cool. It's hipster, it's industry standard, it's the most popular brand, and when I'm bringing an action camera somewhere, most of the people ask me, oh, how is the GoPro? And I'm usually telling them it's not a GoPro because I'm not usually making reviews of GoPro and so on. So yeah, another point for the Hero 6, which makes the score like 10 versus 3. And it has been the first top 13 video review. Now, I'm gonna need your help in order to improve the quality of these reviews. Tell me, which components did you like, which components you did not like? Do you believe that there are some other factors I need to include? Well, I had like 25 on my list, and I've reduced that to just 13 because it's a weird and interesting number, and also it's an odd number, which means always there's going to be a winner. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, enjoy life, and I'll see you soon. Cheers!